On today's show, the Mavericks lose to the Boston Celtics. Is that the fakest comeback we've ever seen? And do the Mavericks have a big three-point problem? We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
We have Kyrie.
You are Locked On Mavs.
Great, Rusty.
Your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast.
Almost done.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen today. They're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Go check out our newsletter. Check out the different ways to follow the show. The insiders get texts from us every game and every time there's a rumor or anything like that. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting right now. New customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets. Guaranteed if you win your first bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And joining me, the postgame prodigy from the Great Slightly Biased YouTube channel, repping the Pat Mahomes jersey. What you got for me, Slightly Biased?
Look, man, I'm rooting for. It's been being a Chiefs fan for as long as I've been a Chiefs fan. It's just happy. I'm happy we have a moment like this to truly appreciate this team, and it's just always been great being a Chiefs fan.
Has that been like 2 weeks or?
No, I've been a Chiefs fan for 30 years, Nick. I haven't even been alive for 30 years.
Oh, peek behind the curtain.
It's true, I haven't. So
we don't know. We don't know your name, but we do know how old you are now, or at least a reference about how old you are. Oh man. Today's episode, we'll get
home. I'm rooting for the Chiefs. I know everyone wants the Bills, but I'm rooting for the Chiefs. I'm rooting for the Devil Magic.
I don't know how I'm rooting for yet. Today's episode, we'll get into the Mavs losing to the Boston Celtics. We'll talk about the middle two quarters that were brutal and awful for the Mavericks. We'll talk about the 2 quarters the Mavericks won, first and fourth, and we'll talk about that. And the Mavs' fake comeback, we'll talk about that. The Mavs have had a couple of those lately. Does that mean they're fighting, or what does that mean? We'll talk about PJ Washington, Quentin Grimes. But let's get into this real quick, slightly. Do the Mavs have a three-point problem? Because in this game, of course, it's going to be amplified more than ever. The difference between how many threes the opponent takes and how many threes the Mavericks take. But the Mavericks haven't really generated a lot of threes since Luka has been out. It's been like 30, 36, 35. They really haven't had the 40, 45 three-point attempts per game games lately. And it's something that was a big feature for the Mavericks offense. It's not like they were jacking up a ton of threes like the Celtics are, but it does seem like with Luka out, and there was an update about him, and we'll talk about that. But do they have a problem generating enough threes? That's something that I think we can look at in this game, because the Celtics they finished with 52 and the Mavs took 22. I mean, just a huge discrepancy.
Yeah, I mean, it's in a matchup like this, it's absolutely a problem, because you're never going to win that math battle, right? When you lose when the other team shoots 20 plus more threes than you did,
30
plus more threes than you did, and they outscore you from the 3-point line by 36. That is a very, very, very steep hill to climb up from, especially when you're playing a great team like the Celtics, a great defensive team like the Celtics, a team with a bunch of size like the Celtics. All of the other things that you have to do to overcome that, like dominate the boards, dominate the offensive rebounding, go to the free throw line, score 1 million points in the paint. Those are things you can't do. So, yeah, in this matchup, it is. I mean, it's interesting that they shoot threes, around 37% of their shots this year are threes. That's 21st in the league. And that number wasn't even that. That number has really kind of been around that mark since the trade deadline last year. They changed their identity entirely.
Yeah.
And you look at the other years in the Luka era, rookie season, they were second season, second, fourth, fifth, third, second, 21st this year. So, yeah, they're not generating anywhere near as many threes. And I think it's a choice. Like, they want to be a little bit more balanced. They want to be a team that beats you with size. And
they've got it versus personnel.
Yeah, I mean, but there's matchups where it's just like we have to figure out ways to generate threes, and they're just not doing that currently, and that'll hurt them if they play the Celtics again.
And you look at a player like Klay Thompson, he only takes 3 threes. I mean, he was averaging 8, 9 threes a game when Luka was playing, and so you have this player that they are not playing into his strengths in a way either, right? Like Kyrie Irving, I was surprised. He only took 3 threes in this game, and his threes are usually generated by himself. Luka does create some of those for him, but that's usually generated by the threes and the shots that he takes. It was just interesting to me to see the choices made on offense and how little threes the Mavs took, especially in this game, but that kind of accentuated what the Mavericks have been doing the last couple of weeks without Luka. And so I'm looking at that going forward for the Mavericks without Luka. Can they generate more threes? What can they do with their offense? it does sort of like show how many threes Luka does generate, though, seeing how little they take right now and how many they were taking before. And like you said, they weren't taking a ton with Luka, but he just generates maybe like, 10 a game? Like 8, 9, 10 a game? And
he himself averages how many three-point attempts?
Yeah, just the ones that he takes, and then you add the other ones.
And then you factor in the ones he gets from – you lose a lot whenever you lose a guy who can beat the defense off a dribble, get into the paint, have the defense collapse and rotate. You're losing out on 3-point attempts because of that. But then also you have a guy who averages 10 3-point attempts a game, self-generated, who's out the lineup right now. They just have to figure out, like you said, going back to Klay's last game against the Hornets too, he's shot 5 threes combined in his last 2 games.
The last 2 games? Jeez.
5 total 3-point attempts. That can never be the case. I mean, Klay needs to be 6, 7, 8 3-point attempts a night. That has to be a point of emphasis for you. It has to be. If he's going to play 30 minutes, what's he out there for?
And because they don't give him the ball in spots for him to create anything off the dribble. They don't really want him to do that. They don't want him to do the post-up stuff, really. So what is he doing out there? Like you said, like what is he doing? And then you add Maxey to that, who also went out with an injury today, which is mixed probably for Mavs fans at this point.
It's bad. I'm telling you guys, it's bad if he's hurt.
It's very bad for the Mavericks. They had to play they had to play Walker Kessler. I wish they had to play Kessler. They had to play Kessler Edwards as the backup 5, I guess, when he was out. I mean, the Mavs have to do something if Maxey's going to be out for any time. But anyway, Klay doesn't take a lot of threes. Then Maxey turns down threes. He took 3 in this game, but had a bunch of open ones. And you just look down the line. I guess Dinwiddie only took 3. If these guys are turning down threes and they're not generating as many, then what are they doing out there? And the answer, a lot of times, is not good things. like not good things are happening.
Yeah.
But I'm going to move over to a positive that I'm going to just take. I thought P.J. Washington, especially in that first quarter, what I saw from him was growth. The difference between P.J. Washington when the Mavs played in the finals against this Celtics team to now is so different. The fact that he was driving at Jaylen Brown multiple times, got an and one in the first quarter on a play where he just drove right at Jaylen Brown. It wasn't a switch. It was nothing. Jaylen was just guarding P.J. Washington, and P.J. just drove to the lane, got an and one, finished. And the fact that he has the confidence to do that and has added that to his game a little bit or brought that out of his game with Luka being out, with all these guys being out, if there's anything we take from some of these injuries is that guys like that can show more of their skills. And I thought PJ showed that, especially in that first quarter.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Like, you might look at his stat line and see 17 points, 4 of 13, and think, oh, like that's kind of a stinky game for him. But then really the story is the 11 free throws. It was being aggressive and attacking driving lanes, attacking those angles, especially when the Celtics weren't back defensively yet and the shot blocker wasn't, under the basket. I thought PJ did a great job. Was really smart in his drives too. I thought the Mavs in general, like, they did a good job of recognizing, hey, the Celtics, there's a cross match and KP's out on the corner or KP's out on the wing. Like, we need to attack the paint right now. The problem is they couldn't convert at the rim. I mean, they missed some bunnies, they missed some floaters. It was just one of those games for the Mavs. But yeah, I thought PJ really, PJ's just been really good this year, man. He really has been. And a lot of the consistency stuff for him, we've seen it pop up at times, but I think by and large, he's been about as consistent as you would want. It's just all of this stuff. The 3-point shot we know is going to go in and out for him, but it's attacking, it's being aggressive, it's being confident, all of that stuff. That's just really good to see from him.
Adds a wrinkle to the Mavs offense, right? If he's going to have that player on him that's going to be eventually, when everybody comes back, hopefully, like the 4th or 5th best defender on the other team, that he can attack that with the skills that he's shown recently. You mentioned the at the rim stuff. Do you know the numbers at the rim this game?
I'm looking at him right now.
Boston went 5 of 15, which is 35%, which is terrible, like as far as accuracy. But that's only 18% of their shots, which is 7th percentile, like the lowest you can get. They didn't take any shots at the rim. The Mavs took 47% of their shots at the rim. They went 17 of 32 and only made 53%, which is 11th percentile, so also not good. Just a weird stat that the Mavs did get to the rim, but like you said, they didn't convert on enough of them. And then the Celtics just didn't go to the rim at all, which you could look at as a win for the Mavs defense, but it really is more about the Celtics and how they set up. And coming up, let's talk about how they set up, how the Mavericks defense set up, and why the Mavericks lost this game. And then we'll talk about Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes showed some fights, showed some shame, and had the biggest moment of the game. We'll talk about that and more coming up.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds, things that you can use to get in on the action. If you are a long-time Chiefs fan, like Slightly is, go ahead, put down $5 on the Chiefs, and you can get $300 in bonus bets if that bet wins. You can also go check out all the other stuff. They have more than just the NFL. They have the NBA as well, but let's look at the NFL games. Chiefs still a 1.5-point favorite at home against the Bills. The Eagles, 6.5-point favorite. That changed recently, but they're still a favorite right there. And if it's your first time, again, go ahead and put down $5. You get $300 in bonus bets on FanDuel. If you put that down, it's the app that's easy to navigate. You can do a whole bunch of things. So go check out, see everything they have to offer in FanDuel. Again, visit FanDuel.com. Join today. Get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make the playoffs this season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. We're also brought to you by Talkspace. Therapy is game-changing. I go to therapy. I still do. I've been going for years, and it's something that has helped me work through anxiety, helped me work through worry, helped me work through a bunch of different things. It can help manage stress, improve sleep, which is huge, communicate more effectively, and finding the right therapist and fitting sessions into a busy schedule is super challenging. But you can do it with Talkspace. Signing up is super simple. You can match with a licensed therapist who fits your needs, usually within 48 hours. That's quick. Sometimes you need to talk to somebody fast, and 48 hours is a good time compared to some of the others. It's convenient. You can have the sessions straight from the comfort of your home, and you can message your therapist in between sessions, which is crucial because you never know when something's going to pop up. As a listener of this podcast, you get $80 off your first month with Talkspace. You go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnNBA. Use that code SPACE80, the word space, SPACE, the number 80, to match with a licensed therapist today. Go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnNBA. Use that promo code SPACE80 to get $80 off your first month. Talkspace.com/LockedOnNBA, promo code SPACE80.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. We appreciate all of our listeners, the Raccoon Squad, everybody that comes up to me at games. I sit in section 123. Come say hi, and maybe you'll get something for it. So go and do that if you go to a Mavs game, especially these games that are probably not going to be as expensive as some of the ones before. Yeah. All right, Slightly, the Mavs and the Celtics. One of the things I think the Mavs struggle with was with their defense, and I want to talk about Daniel Gafford in this because Gafford had such a Jekyll and Hyde, complete different night and day game on offense and on defense, I thought. Offensively, he added a lot, and we'll talk about why he added a bunch. But defensively, the Mavs set up in their shell defense, which has 4 guys out on the perimeter and has Gafford or Maxey or whoever was there setting up in the paint. And the Celtics play this 5-out offense where they put everybody on the perimeter, especially when Al Horford plays. And I guess Luke Cornett's the only one that doesn't really shoot that many threes, and he even still will every once in a while. And so when Gafford's in the paint, the Celtics run their offense, and they're all running around everywhere, switching spots and screens and all that kind of stuff. Gafford ends up guarding anybody, right? It's not a set screen, not a set switch or anything like that. He ends up guarding Drew Holiday a bunch in this. He ends up guarding Jason Tatum. He's on Jaylen Brown and all that, getting all those switches. And I thought the Mavs really struggled there, and Jason Kidd recognized it, and then he went to a zone. He went to a zone against the Celtics, which is just – I texted John Corrales, Locked On Celtics host, and I was like, I can't believe they're going zone against the Celtics right now. Of all teams, the team that take the most threes in the NBA. And he said it's either stupidity or desperation. And honestly, it was desperation, right? They had to go to something else. But I say that because the shell defense just didn't work because they were generating the shots that they wanted.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough matchup for Gafford, and we saw it last year when he pretty much got played off the court. We know this. I mean, any team that stretches the floor, it's going to be difficult for Gafford. That's not his strength defensively. His strength is blocking shots at the rim. His strength's not getting out on the perimeter. He's, kind of slow when he gets out there. He can get kind of lost in space at times. And we already know, we know this. I mean, this wasn't a surprise. No. Seeing this play out the way it did tonight. But I want to give Gafford props more than anything else. I thought he played really well in his minutes, all things considered, in a matchup that we already know is not going to be good for him. 19 points, 15 rebounds, 8 of those offensive rebounds. Huge. They won the minutes when he was out on the court. It just continues this really impressive stretch of play from him. And I thought my takeaway from him was to come out in a matchup that is not good for you. We already know this. To come out and play the way that he did and to bring the energy to fight on the boards the way that he did tonight, I thought was really impressive and encouraging, and just kind of continues this great stretch of basketball that he's had recently.
That's a win. I'll take that as a win in a game like this. Like we said, you're not you're not supposed to win this game. Celtics were healthy. They had everybody. Everybody was back. It was the first time Porzingis had played in the American Airlines Center as an opponent since 2018 when he was on the Knicks. Like, he just hasn't played that often. But it was a win for Gafford to play as well as he did in that. I just thought that the defense should be highlighted, and that's something that we should talk about too. But I'll take the win on offense. Like you mentioned, his stats, the offensive rebounds he got, his ability to give the Mavericks and generate some offense. And yes, maybe that adds to the threes versus twos issue because you're going down to Gafford and he's getting twos and he's not generating any threes from him, not by kickouts or anything like that. But man, that's a win for him to be able to play like that against a team that he's, like you said, quote unquote, not supposed to be able to play against.
Yeah, and I do worry now, like especially if Maxi's going to miss some time here. This is a huge stretch of big minutes for Gafford, who I'm sure if I were to go and look through his career game logs, I don't know if there was another stretch in his career where he's played 30-plus minutes, 30-plus minutes, 30-plus minutes, 30-plus minutes as often as we're seeing over this last stretch. So, I had people in my chat who are like, why is Gafford not on the floor? He plays such a high motor, high energy style of game, right? He runs the floor. He fights like hell on the offensive boards. He blocks shots. He plays very physically offensively. It just wears and tears at your body. He's not a guy like that type of game isn't usually suited to play this many minutes. So I do worry about that for him. And also, like, if Maxi's out now, man, I don't know. I honest to God do not know what your answer is. I don't know what it is.
Jabarion Sharp, come on down. I mean, like they got to look for somebody else because you just can't play small ball. That they literally have no other options. I went back to Gafford's last season again, like when he was with the Wizards. There's a stretch in January and February, 28 minutes, 22 minutes, 32 minutes, 34 minutes, 35 minutes. That's the biggest one I can find, right? Like this is, like you said, the biggest stretch of minutes in his career. And he's been playing well. I feel like we're back to the Gaff that we had last year, the last couple of games, which has been awesome. That's another positive we'll take out of all these injuries is that you're getting Gafford back to the way he was. And hopefully that tenacity, hopefully that power and all that we've seen from him these games continues and continues on even when hopefully Lively comes back. But yeah, the Mavs have a center issue and a big man issue right now. You got to replace that. They've got to go somewhere else. I mean, Maxey goes out of the game and all of a sudden Markieff Morris goes on the bike and I just go, that can't be the long-term option. It just can't. Well, and it's bigger because Dwight's out too. It's all the injuries, right?
Well, I mean, this is what we kind of talked about a little bit is you saw that lineup that they went when Gafford was off was PJ at the 5. The only problem is you don't have the fours to plug in next to your riding with Kessler Edwards. And it's just like, God bless Kessler Edwards. I like his energy and stuff like that. He's just not an offensive threat in the slightest. And that hurts you in games against like really good teams too.
It really does. God bless Kessler Edwards. God
bless him.
God bless him.
Like, and then I think about it more. I'm like, all right, if you're going to say PJ small ball 5 is our option. Okay, so Gafford, let's say he plays 30 minutes. That leaves you with what? 18 minutes that you have to figure out. So then what? Is PJ going to play 40-plus minutes?
Yeah, I was going to say, PJ's also starting with Gafford, and probably you want him to play with Gafford because that's your best lineup right now.
That's where the issues that's where it really becomes complicated and complex. They're going to have to get creative. And this is assuming Maxey misses time. I'm just going based on Maxey's track record. I'm assuming he's going to miss time here.
Maxey also looked really frustrated leaving the game.
Yeah.
And so
it was a weird looking injury. Like unless the replay angle was like weird and we didn't see all of it, it like didn't look like he twisted it or anything. They never really showed a replay where he like full on twisted his ankle.
Yeah, it was strange. But they called it an ankle injury and they kept him out. They're probably going to be really cautious with them, especially in a 20-point game like this. I want to talk about Quentin Grimes. I thought he showed some real fight, showed some real offense in this, and we got a Quentin Grimes that we had a couple of weeks ago that we haven't really seen lately. 20 points, 7 boards, couple of assists, played some good defense, and that dunk on Cornette was just the best thing that happened to the Mavericks all night. It gave him some life, and man, that was huge. That was maybe one of the best dunks of the season, definitely for the Mavericks.
Yeah, probably the best dunk of the season for the Mavs. I can't think of that one crazy oop, that lob that
the Gafford
that one game was crazy. But this was like a full on poster that we definitely have not seen since the departure of Derek Jones Jr. Like a full-on poster from a non-big. That was sick. That was crazy. 20 points in the second half. 10 points in each quarter, third and fourth quarter for Grimes, hitting some threes. So good to see him, playing at the level we saw a little bit a couple weeks ago. He kind of went away from that at times, but good to see.
It was good. And honestly, when I saw him start to get going on offense, it just highlighted to me, I think the ratio to Dinwiddie plays and Grimes plays, I think just needs to be a little closer than it is right now. Because right now we're getting all this Dinwiddie offense that Dinwiddie was just I thought he finished with 5 of 7 from the field, so it doesn't look too bad, 12 points. But the 6 fouls, got a tech at the end, just completely crashed out. Yeah, the turnovers were bad. And I thought the process on offense was not very good for him either. And I would just like a little bit more of the ratio, more Quentin Grimes and a little less Dinwiddie. Can we do that? Is that we're not asking for much with this because we don't expect them to win a game like this, but just at least let's change the ratio just a little with Luka still out.
We're doing the thing again with Dinwiddie. It's just we'll be here.
I'm just saying. I just want the ratio a little bit. I'm not saying bench him. I'm not saying he shouldn't play anymore. I get it. I get the Dinwiddie thing. I know we just did this. We're going through this cycle again.
No, I just think it's weird. That's just who Spence is as a player.
I know.
And it's just when you're forced to play him as often as you are, that's just what you're having to live with. When Spence is on the court, it's Spence time.
Can I ask you, do we have to live with it every other game? Does it have to be one game's good and one game's bad? Feels like that's what we've been doing the last couple of weeks here with him.
Well, this is a game right here. We went this long without talking about Kyrie. I think we have to talk about him.
Oh, fair.
It was an interesting game from him. But this is a game right here where, Kyrie had 10 shots in the first half of the game. That's good. This is a game where you pretty much have to look at Kyrie and say, you need to put up damn near 30 shots in this game. You're going to have to generate that much offense for us to have a chance to win this game. Got to find ways, 22 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. I didn't think Kyrie was bad at all tonight. Efficiency-wise wasn't good, but I liked the process with him quite a bit. But, I think the assist numbers have to tick up for him, and that's kind of a problem where it doesn't feel like Kyrie's really facilitating much.
Did he had 9 last game, right?
Yeah, but and that was a step in the right direction. The Mavs offensively in that game against the Thunder, that was the best they've looked since Luka went down. Oh, he had 9 assists against the Timberwolves.
Oh, okay. The Kyrie game, like you said, wasn't bad, wasn't good enough. If he's your number one, that's it. With all these injuries, with everything, more is going to be asked of him. There was a guy with a Celtics Kyrie jersey, and I just really wanted to know what was going on. I didn't catch it before he left, but yeah, with Kyrie, he also, you mentioned, he did take 23 shots, but 3 threes and 0 free throw attempts.
Yeah.
So what did he finish with? 22 points on 23 shots? That's actually not good.
all really tough shots too, which he's capable of hitting. But this is partially on him, but also on the coaching staff, on everybody. You got to figure out ways to try and generate some better offense for him. You have to figure out something, because this is a tough. We saw it in the finals last year. This is a really difficult matchup for him. They're all lengthy. They're all great perimeter defenders. Everybody that the Celtics have on the court at any given moment, pretty much,
except KP.
It's just got to figure out ways to. What did I say?
No, I said except KP.
Except KP. Well, look, here's the reality. Kristaps Porzingis, what did he have tonight? 18 points on 6 of 12. Look, here's the reality. If this were 3 years ago and he was on the Mavs, he would have turned the ball over 5 times trying to post up Quentin Grimes. He would have fouled. He would have elbowed somebody in the face and wouldn't have shot the ball for the next 12 minutes. It's very frustrating.
Joe Mazzulla unlocks Porzingis.
KP. I'm like, yes, boo KP. Do we not remember how that ended? Boo him.
They did.
That series against the Clippers was despicable. I would boo him every time. Just out of being a fan.
The first one, he played the first 3 games, it was great, and then he was out.
The bubble KP was different. It. That was the vision.
That
was the Luka and KP are teammates for the next 12 years vision.
I still can't believe this is the first time he's played the AAC as an opponent since 2018.
That doesn't really surprise me that much, honestly.
It doesn't, but he's actually only played as an opponent 2 times in the AAC. 2018, 2017. That's it.
Well, if you think about it, he would have only had, 1 opportunity with the Wizards? And then 1 regular season opportunity with the Celtics, and then the finals. It is kind of crazy. But
and then he played with the Knicks for a couple of years, right? How many years?
Yeah, but I'm more saying that trade happened in 2018, so that's not that insane to me. Or 2019, huh?
Yeah.
That's when he had his ACL tear.
Tough. Just a tough game. I mean,
if I sound salty about KP, it's because I am. I will never forget
fine.
that Clippers series.
You do, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so the Kyrie thing you talked about, the Klay and Maxey issue we talked about earlier, the offense is not generating. This offensive scheme is getting exposed in this stretch. It really is, and that's on coaching.
Yeah, it's on coaching. It's the easiest answer, the answer that it is they're super injured. That's
also true.
80% of the problem. But there's also, for sure, the coaching, they need to figure out ways. I mean, to go back to it, Klay cannot shoot the ball 4 times in a game like this.
Yeah.
He's on a minute restriction. I get that. Maybe you're being cautious with him. I don't know. But I get he's this ultimate floor spacer, just him being on the court.
26 minutes.
Yeah, 26 minutes is, I mean, that's plenty of times to get up 5, 6 threes. I get he's the ultimate floor spacer. You have him on the court. He just opens up things for you offensively, just him being out there. But you got to figure out ways. I'm just thinking from his perspective, it's like, so what? I'm just going to sit around and space the floor and shoot 3 times a game? That sucks.
Oof.
That does suck. Who wants to do that?
Maxey does.
Yeah, well, Maxey does for sure. Maxey's like, oh yeah, let's go.
Oh, let's go. I get to shoot 3 times. That's it.
Sick. That's great. I mean, Maxey was 0 of 6 tonight.
Yeah. Overall, I'm not frustrated with this game really at all. I'm looking at the offense. You're looking at some of the issues, and you're saying, all right, where are the bigger things that you can look at? And there's a couple trends there that we've brought up in this, but this is not a game. I expect to lose. For the Mavericks to lose by a lot more than this. The Celtics haven't been playing really well though. They're 10-9 in their last 19 coming into this game.
And that was another issue for you. This is another one of these teams you play where you look at it and you're like, man, it doesn't matter who they play. They're doing a game at some point. Like they're gonna have a game at some point where they just can't miss from 3, and that was unfortunately tonight. And they were 2 of 10 in the first quarter, and I was like, okay, maybe they got another stinker. And then it was just an onslaught from then on out.
An onslaught. Go check out Slightly Biased, great YouTube channel. All kinds of great stuff going on over there. Go, go have some fun this weekend with the NFL games. Hopefully your Chiefs. It's been your Chiefs for forever.
Just happy to see my Chiefs play in a conference championship game. That's what it is.
Not enough good stuff has happened to that franchise.
Yeah, there's some fan bases that haven't seen it in 30 years and just hired a nothing head coach.
Taking shots as the former team that he loved.
If the shoe fits.
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. Go check out all the great ways to follow the show. The QR code or the links in the description. We've got the text line where you can text us. You got the newsletter, all kinds of great stuff. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. Peace out. Boom.
Boom.
Oh, the boom.